everybody, it's Glenn, Red Dog Motorsports. Welcome back to the channel. If you've been following along on my rat rod build for the Rat Rod Magazine build off, it's probably been a couple of weeks since you saw me, maybe 2. For me, it's the next day. It's Monday. Last time I filmed was Sunday. But we're back on the rear of the rat rod working on fuel tank mount and radiator mount. So let me flip you around here. So I pulled a piece of C-channel out of the scrap bin and got it welded in here. We've got some holes drilled and some bolts welded to it. They drop through. The flange of the gas tank just comes up to the bottom and goes through the bolts. Some nuts and washers on the back side of that to hold that end up. This is the old gas tank mount from the S10, and what I've done is cut that out of the old frame rails. I flipped it upside down, and we're getting ready to mark and drill and prep all of the locations for putting in bolts and whatnot to support the flange on the other side of the tank. Gonna have a couple other things that need to be done. Not sure if I'm gonna leave the fuel fill on this side or if I'm gonna try to move it over to here. I haven't decided on that yet. It's one of those things we're gonna have to look at doing or figuring out a little bit later in the game. But I want to get the floor in first. Be plenty of room above it though. I'm not too worried about. There's plenty of space in there to get hosing and stuff through. So we'll figure that out. And then the radiator, it's got some flanges that are going to come off flush with that. It's just going to lean back right in here. The fans, everything clears. I've got it sitting over there. We'll show it in greater detail in a little bit. But for now, I'm going to work on getting that marked, getting the bolt all set up for it. I do need to go get the bolts. So let me get on that. We'll bring you in a little bit. All right, everybody. So progress has been made. Never as much as I want, but we're making progress. So the fuel tank is in. I need to finish weld the brackets. They're partially welded enough to make sure it's not going to fall out of place, but it sits in there. It's got just a slight cant to the forward so that fuel goes towards the pickup, which we are going to have to change. I'm going to cut the one out of the S10 tank and make it fit that area so that I can have all the appropriate hookups and stuff and get the appropriate fuel pump in there with all the wire connectors, all that good stuff. But I'll do that here in the future. The radiator is just sitting in place. Kind of debating. I had originally planned on attaching it to the chassis, but now I'm thinking attaching it to the body. Like this area down here is in really poor shape, and so I'm thinking of cutting it out, welding in some fresh metal, and when I do that, going ahead and mounting the radiator right to it, because it'll have good support then. And then I can use these old bolts up here, right here, to make a bracket that goes across the top to hold the radiator in position. Otherwise, just a couple of quick tabs off of the support I put in earlier for the fuel tank and some upper brackets, and it's mounted to the chassis. So I haven't really decided. I'm going to think on it a little bit more. It's really kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another. So I don't know that it matters, but yeah. All right, well, we will see you in the morning, and we will get the radiator mounted and hopefully the brake mounted tomorrow, the master cylinder or booster. Okay, so we're back, and radiator bottom lower mounts are done. I'll bring you in later when I get the upper mounts made and figured out, and then I'll show you both at once. But for now, the angle's correct. I've got room for transmission cooler lines, radiator in, radiator out, all that stuff fits. It'll be a crowded space. We'll have to come down and over and around and all of that good stuff, but it fits, and that's what we need. Now comes the rest of it. So I need to come up with a mount that comes up and goes over. I bent one of these already. They were flat from the factory like this. On the XJ, which this comes out of, this bolts to the front core support. But I'm gonna bend them up, maybe run some square tubing through here, and then grab it either outside here, which would probably be nice and clean, or maybe come up from here and forward somewhere in here and grab it. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna play with that a little bit, and then once I've got that figured out, we'll build that, and then I'll bring you back in and show you. The other thing I've got to be concerned about, I was measuring, I want to make sure that the floor is going to clear. It's got to come back to this point right in here so that it'll seal up. And I've got the body panel is going to go back in here somewhere for the tailgate. All of that good stuff's got to happen so it'll close up and give me a seal that I won't have to worry about exhaust fumes and stuff like that coming in. If I didn't have a top on it, all that, I'd do some kind of mesh design in here, you know, something that left it open, left it all mechanical. But since I'm gonna run a top, I don't want to trap gases in here. I could run without windows, I suppose, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to put windows on it just because it's an extra level of difficulty, shows a little bit more ability. But I don't know. At any rate, we're going to start with trying to put a floor in it, and then we'll go from there. If I can't put a floor in it or decide that it's easier or better to go a different route, then we'll change up. But for now, it's getting a floor. All right, so progress is being made. Kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of progress on the radiator mount. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you'll come on in here. Sorry about the arm. All right. So I did one of these on each side. I got one there, one opposite hand. And then I made just a simple, this is just a U shape. Got another side just like this. Got these little brackets, and these basically slide into just like so. And it captures the radiator right in here. What I didn't realize, didn't think about, is that the floor is going to be right in here. And that if the floor is there, there's no way to pick this straight up because it's going to run into the floor. So now I'm going to have to cut these so that I just have this piece, and then we'll have some bolts to go through here. There was always going to be bolts, but I need to make it so now I can pick it up just a little bit and then pull the whole thing directly out the back of the tailgate opening, because that's all I'm going to have. So yeah, kind of a pain. It's all going to work out fine. But I could do without the 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Oh well. Alright everybody, radiator mount is done. I could use a gusset down here underneath the lower mounts just to ensure that over time they don't weaken. The metal itself is only 1/8 inch, and while that's plenty strong, just, you know, this will have a fair bit of weight with the water and everything in it and bouncing, especially at this end. This end of the rig is going to bounce quite a bit, I would expect. it could weaken over time. So gusset won't hurt, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. But on the bottom of this, we got just the 2 pins. So we'll just take, they just set up on a couple of the rubber bushings and drop right into the hole. And then this upper mount, you just set it up in here. I probably am going to need to trim these off so that I can get a little lower. Just pops right into place. You just knock it down. And then, simple little bolt. Just runs in from the outside. And I got one more down here. I'm missing 2 bolts yet. But that's all we got. Nice, easy, straightforward system. And then with those bolted in, this will be nice and tight. Shouldn't go anywhere. Got the proper angles. So I'll cut these tabs off. Should be able to get everything in from underneath the floor, because like I said, that floor is going to be right in this area. And yeah, should work fine. All right, so next day, been working on the body mounts. I had some errands to run earlier this morning, but I've got 3 out of 4 done. I'm working on the last one. Realize I ain't been filming anything, so I'm like, uh-oh, better get on it. So give you a rundown of what I got going on. So frame mounts right below here. I have drilled up from underneath to give myself a location so that I know where to cut. I need to cut this open so I can insert a nut plate. The existing ones just aren't working for me. One, they're stripped out and kind of messed up, and then so it's just easier to go ahead and replace it than it is to try to deal with what's there. And it gives me a better location. So I'll take you down underneath. I'm going to try to. Sorry. Switching camera angles always gets me. Alright, so here's where we're going. Right here. This is one of the brackets. Now we cut these over at Mike's, and then I've bent it. It's going to go right there. Kind of like that. So now what I need to do is make this hole larger, and then go up top and cut the opening, bend it up, and then I gotta make the nut plate. So I'll bring you along as we do that. It looks like I also need to replace the battery. Well, let's get on it. Okay, I'm gonna cut this open so that I can gain access. Okay, so I just cut that open so that I can gain access to the area below it. Now we just need to bend it up. And need to get probably another tool, finish bending that, but we'll finish bending that up here in a second. All right, went and got the proper tool. because that's the way I work. Perfect. Now, the old one's still in here. And what I'm probably going to do is just take a chisel or something, knock it loose so that I can get it out of there, and then clear all the room I need. All right, so let me get on that. Okay, that's good enough. All right, I'm gonna blow that out, then we'll go make the insert. All right, to make my nut plate, I had just a piece of existing bracket. I don't know what it was off of. I'm sure it was really important. But I trimmed up one side of it to get them both even. This one was taller. So now I'm just going to chuck it in here so I can clean up the, this is the piece I cut off. Ow, and it's hot. Very funny. Ow. At any rate, yeah, it was right there, and it's hot. I'm sure it's cooler now. All right, in the water it goes. Okay, two things are going to happen now. One, I'm going to tap this hole with the 7/16, and then I'm going to weld this on the other side with the bolt through it to hold it all in place. I'll weld it, and that'll give me a lot of thread engagement for when this is inside the vehicle. So let me get that done, and then we'll get back to you. All right, now that this everything's in place, I'm going to drill the hole down here a little bit bigger using a step drill. That just ensures that I've got easy access from down below and that I don't have to fight it. Now, I'll wait until this is all installed before I'm going to put this back down, and definitely before I weld it. Weld it closed, that is. I want to make sure the body's finally done, and then we'll put that down and weld it. All right, now it's time to move underneath and finish that up. It is the next day, and we are working on the master cylinder. As you can see behind me, it's just now getting to be first light. And we are working on filling in all these holes. This is the original brake master cylinder hole. Don't need it because the master is going to be over here. I don't want all of these in place when I drill this one because it just weakens it too much. I don't need this one. This was the electrical pass-through. Not sure what these two were. Doesn't matter. Don't need them. So I'm going to fill all of these in. I've got washers that fit all of these. I'm getting ready to work with those. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got me a piece of copper down here. I'm going to fill in the center holes on all of these. using washers just a lot quicker than trying to cut out circles and get them ground just right and stuff like that. So I've ground off any coatings that were on them. So gonna fill these in. I might have to trim the edges on a couple of them. Then we'll stick them over there and use a magnet. We'll start welding them in. Okay, step one is complete. Got the holes filled in. Now I'm just gonna use the grinder, grind them smooth, and then we'll be able to put them up on the wall, firewall that is, and get them welded in. Okay, things are moving along. I have gotten my washers welded in and my hole cut for the booster itself. You can see right down here, these are where I filled in, and then I moved it over a little bit just so that I could get a little closer to the existing brake pedal. It's going to reduce the amount of rod I have to stick out from the existing brake pedal, make it shorter, less likely to have any flex in it. And now I've got to take this plate and we've got to get it, I forget exactly how it goes. I think it goes like this. I've got some conflict down here on the bottom with that, so I'm going to cut where the white line is. That'll get it lined up, and then we have to drill holes at 4 locations so that it'll mount up. I removed the studs from that one so that I could do that. But then we should be able to get it all bolted up. I've got a hole to drill from the back side from the support for the brake pedal, but I need to remove all that anyways so that we can re-drill the brake hole, or the hole for the brake pedal, so that my throw is correct. And then yeah, moving right along. So should be able to get this done today, I hope. I don't see why not. But that, if I do, or when I do, let's go with when I do, then the only thing left on the brakes will be plumbing in the brake lines. And since I have all of those, everything should go in fairly easily. I think the only question would be is whether or not I have a couple of the right connections at the ends. On the front, I definitely do. For the wheels, whether or not I have the right ends to go to the master, that'll be the question. But if I have the right ends at the master, then the front's real easy, and then the rear would just be a question of making sure that I've got the right end to go from the Chevy brake lines to the Dodge soft line. I've got all the correct hard lines and soft lines coming for the axle itself. So getting close on brakes. And then, but let's get the rest of this taken out and get moving. All right, got everything here in place. Let's see if I can get this raised up where I need it. Oh, of course, it's too long. All right, let's move it to the top. All right, so we'll center that on there. Get that leveled up. What happened to my pen? We'll mark a hole. Now my plan is to mark just the one hole. I'm going to drill it, and then I'll put the stud back in so that it'll hold up a little easier. I can put a nut on the back of it. And then I'll go through and mark the other 3, or drill them at the time while it's in place. That'll just make sure that it's perfect, and I'm not having to go back and elongate any holes. So that's what we're going to do. So let me get to drilling, and then I'll bring you back when I get it done. Good deal. Got something done. It took longer than I wanted. Had to take it in and out several times, getting things finessed until it fits, you know, just fits. Not struggling with it. Of course, once you get it to fit, all the nuts are inside. I put it in, and then it wants to just fall back out. But, oh well. So we're in. I'm not happy about the plastic. It needs to be something else. I'll deal with it. Maybe we'll figure something smart out on how to cover it up. But at any rate, we're in. So now we got to go to the inside. All right, guys, welcome to the first segment of Look What I Made. If you'll just come on down here, turn this way a little bit. I've got the brake pedal. I did not make that. I actually didn't make hardly any of these, I guess. I made the conglomeration of it all. So I drilled out a 5/8 bolt with a 3/8 inch hole in it, or a 3/8 diameter hole in it. Took a 3/8 bolt, run it through the brake pedal, tighten it up like so until this hole lines up with the other one. Like so. Then we install the roll pin. Kind of finicky because it's a little short. You know, can't be wider than the bolt. You know, it goes together so smoothly when you guys aren't here. But at any rate, there we go. So that drives on just like so. Then we've got a spacer, and that goes on here. Like so. And then we've got a washer and a clip. So when this is in there, the rod for the, what you call it, the the rod for the power booster, the brake booster, will sit right here and actuate the master cylinder. Won't be able to go anywhere. Solid, safe. I like it. Oh, and check this out. So while I was messing with brake pedals, I went through my stash and I went to clean this one up to see about using it, and it's bronze. It won't work. I need to bend this one, and I'm a little concerned about bending up this bronze one. As cool as it would be, I'll have to use it on another project. But that's the end of our first segment of Look What I Built. All right. If I had the brakes connected to, or the brake pedal and master connected to the brakes, I'd have working brakes. But as it is, I've just got a working pedal. So let me show you. Easy peasy right now. I do have to get in here. Gonna heat the brake pedal up. Sorry. Got to heat the brake pedal up right in this area and bend it down so I get a better placement somewhere over in here, I guess. We'll figure all that out once I get a little bit further. The reason I want to wait though is I'm thinking about moving the steering column, moving it up on the base, which will move this angle here down a little bit, straighten the wheel out so you're not reaching so high at the top when you're driving. And since I got to lower the seats to get my seat height down, or my head height down for the chop, might be important. So I'm waiting a little bit before I do that, because if I move the base of the steering column, then it's going to impact the pedal in a different location, and I want to make sure I only do it one time. That being said, you can see in here, got all the components on there, right up in here. It's all in there working good and solid. Don't get any flex. So with that, I'm going to conclude this week's video. Thank you if you've stuck around this long. Like, subscribe, comment. I like the comments. Gives me a chance to talk to more people all my friends and family get tired, since this is about the only thing it seems I ever want to talk about. Gives them a break, lets me talk to some other people, spread it around, you know. But we'll catch you on the next one. Next video is going to be on the USS Alabama and the surrounding museum from my and Ronan's vacation. So we'll catch you then. Have a good one.